Like, I just show me the gore, show me the blood, show me some boobs. I'm all right.
I was chatting with my sons like we usually do when we're driving around, and my oldest landed. He goes, "They're talking about doing Kraven for the next Spider-Man, right?"
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, "Danny Trejo," and I'm like, "Oh shit!"
Well, I can see that.
Welcome everybody to another episode of the Heroes Peak podcast. As always, I am your host Chris. It is the 20th of January, 2020. And I'm here with, as always, James. How you doing, James?
Hey, what's going on, Chris, Mike?
And Mike. How's it going, Mike?
Hey, I'm good. We're still digging out from all the snow.
Yeah, we got hit with a little bit here. I'm assuming you're under about 8 feet now.
Just about. I've got tunnels going, so we're good.
Oh, you got tunnels going?
Yeah.
So you're John Rambo now?
That's right.
So today episode, we're going to be talking about The Witcher, a suddenly popular television series over on Netflix. And me and James are going to give, we recently saw Terminator Dark Fate, so we're going to do a follow-up review to Mike's previous review. And I created a little game called Pick Your Apocalypse, where I'm going to make everybody choose how the end times are going to happen for them. All right, guys. So we're going to go right into The Witcher. And wait, is there any news you guys want to talk about? We haven't really talked about it. It's the beginning of January. We haven't had any big movie news pop up.
I mean, this Screen Actors Guild Awards were televised yesterday. It seems to be, for the most part, replica of the Golden Globes or whatever that was. Not the Emmys. Golden Globes, yeah. Golden Globes. The only shocker was the fact that the movie Parasite, that foreign, I believe Korean movie, won Best Picture. So the stage is set for the Oscars to either go with the presumed movie, whether it's The Irishman or Once Upon a Time or the Dark Horse Parasite.
So you don't think the Joker's going to walk away with it?
No, I'm sorry. But pretty interesting. The award speech given by Joaquin Phoenix won for Best Actor. He said, "I stand on the shoulders of Heath Ledger," as part of his acceptance speech. So that was very interesting. Yeah.
I also heard he called out Adam Driver as the best upcoming actor.
Yes, they can't wait to see what else he works on. But yeah,
right.
That's this weekend. And some American football.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Wow, man, I'm just out of it today. So yeah, the congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers. Super Bowl something will be
Super Bowl
happening
54.
I still remember Super Bowl 20 with the Giants.
Still living on those days, huh?
Yeah, 1991 Super Bowl was the first one I ever watched. I remember that.
85, man.
I can't believe it's
My love for the Bears.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Super Bowl Shuffle.
That's the year they came out with that rap song, right?
Super Bowl Shuffle.
The rap song, quote. The Super Bowl Shuffle.
That's right.
Yeah, interesting. We need a new McMahon around Chicago.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go right into The Witcher here. Unfortunately, we don't have Keith with us. I know Keith really loved this series. Well, loved, maybe a bit strong word, but I know he really liked the series. So a little description here. The Witcher on Netflix is an 8-episode season 1 series based on a series of books and a video game. It's about Geralt of Rivia, a solitary monster hunter, struggles to find his place in the world where people often prove more wicked than beasts. The assumption around world he lives in is that he is a emotionless monster hunter, and they all treat him as such. Starring Henry Cavill as Geralt, uh, Freya Allen as Ciri, and Anya Kal- wow,
Because of
Mm.
something,
Kalatra
yeah.
as Yennefer, and a bunch of other people, of course, in lesser roles. But
We should note it's based on the video game. I've never played the game.
yeah, I don't think any of us have read the books or played the game.
Yeah, it's based on a books, which then form the video games, which then form the show, which is why I'm confused as hell. Because I haven't neither read the books nor played the video
Yeah.
game.
Well, nothing
But go
about
ahead,
the
Chris.
show should make you rely on watching video games. Rise of Skywalker. You you should be able to just watch the show. Now we all finished this season 1, right?
Yep,
So
I did.
so we're gonna get some overall feelings about how you liked or didn't like the season 1 of The Witcher. I'm gonna start with Mike this time.
Yeah. So going into the show, after the first episode, I remember we were all commenting online after we had seen the first episode, and some of you didn't like it. I thought the first episode was pretty good. And then after that, it just started going like all over the place. It was confusing the heck out of me for a while, up to about towards the last few episodes when it finally came back all together. Yeah, and then for that, I would say, it was a decent season. I thought Henry Cavill did a good job. Um, like I said, I'd never played the game or read the book, so going into it, was a new thing for me. This new universe, and overall, I'd probably give it a solid B- or a C+.
Huh. Good rating. Not bad.
Mm-hmm. Well, considering, remember I had mentioned, like, I was getting confused. They were doing this Pulp Fiction kind of timeline thing, and it was getting all over the place. And there were a lot of parts in it when I couldn't tell if it was the present or the past or what was going on, because it was kind of, that's what I mean when I say it was kind of all over the place in the middle episodes. I couldn't tell, if where was when and what was going on. So until the end,
right. I'm gonna play the spoiler warning for us, so we can just
talk freely.
Say things that.
Yeah, pretty much.
You don't know. You don't know because only I know.
Don't care how I want it now.
All right, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, so when they were flashing back to the little girls, the blonde girl, the princess's parent. No, yeah, her parents, right? Yeah, her parents.
Ciri.
And
Yeah.
At first, I was like, maybe because I was half asleep or something. I was like watching this late at night, but I was like, wait, what is the little girl doing?
Right.
Why is she with this guy in the castle? You know what I mean? At first, I thought it was her, and then I realized at the end, it was her folks or whatever. But the flashbacks kind of threw me off for a bit.
All right. Why don't we give James a shot here?
I think Mike actually kind of started with the same points that I made, but I'm gonna go a little deeper. I don't think this was a good show at all. I left watching the series with a pretty terrible grade, and then since reading about it and becoming more attuned to what the overall what this universe is based on, the Wikipedia pages and some stuff from the video games that my son explained to me, I upped the grade a little bit, which I normally would never do. I like to go with my first impression of the series, but I guess narratively, there's reasons why they focus on certain parts of this because how the books were. I'd probably give it more like a C minus. That being said, only because the main issue with the show for me is it's like a cross. It's supposed to be a cross. This is again my impression between like Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings. It's the closest two genres. One being more mature than the other, but the other one being a little more epic in its storytelling. And for the simple fact that if you went into this show not playing the games or know anything about the books, there's ways it's just way too much dots that you have to connect yourself to understand what is happening.
Yeah, see, that's what I
And
found
and then
too.
the
Right.
fact that you were trying to become sophisticated with a narrative where you use three different central characters with three different timelines, and then the fact that some characters look the same throughout, no matter what timeline that you were watching,
Always a problem.
was confusing the hell out of me. I didn't realize that the mother of the princess was the same person in the other timeline until my wife was telling me, this is what happened
You're
before
right.
the girl was born. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah.
And I'm like, then why did it even that didn't make any sense? And then you have all these other supporting characters, sorcery and magic, and I'm like, wait a minute, is this the same person? I'm confusing this wizard with that wizard, and then you have a party of all these different wizard conclaves from different. And I'm like, it's just to me, it's unless you went into this show being very attuned to the story, the universe itself and the games, I don't see how you
Hmm.
could seriously watch this show and be like, okay, I get everything. Now I can just focus on the story you're giving me and I can enjoy it. Because I could not do that. The only thing that I had any sort of connection with or invested in was the action scenes. The action scenes were the ones that I can see at point blank. I
Yeah.
can see Henry Cavill wield a sword against, monsters or bad guys, and I get that. Boom. But once you start giving me some side story or exposition, I'm at a loss. And to me, that's not a good sign of a show that you want to really engage your audience with. So first impression for
Yeah.
me, this was a terrible show. And then after I went back and took a look at some of the backstory, you know, it kind of made sense of what they're trying to tell me as a story wise with The Witcher itself, and then the Law of Surprise, and then the princess and Yennefer. So I upped my grade
Mhm.
to like a C plus
Mm.
or a C minus, I should say. But overall, not a good show for
All
me.
right.
If I could just jump in on
Yeah, go ahead.
what you were talking about with the origin stories, you're right. There seem to be like three origin stories going on in this first season. I would have preferred maybe just to have the origin story of The Witcher. You know what I mean? As part of his.
It's called The Witcher, not The Witcher
I
and
know.
Prince.
Yeah. So that's a good point as to why this season was so confusing. But I agree. Next time, they should have just, here's The Witcher. If you're gonna go into this series and you're gonna make it that if you're gonna make it so that you assume that people know this backstory from books and games, right?
Mhm.
You're gonna fail a vast majority of the audience who's just tuning into Netflix and going, hey, this looks like an interesting thing, right? Let me check
Hmm.
it out. But because the majority of the people who are on Netflix are not going to know what this
Hmm.
is about,
Correct.
right?
That's why
So,
I mentioned two other shows, Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings, because I mean those are
mhm.
two great examples where you have a huge, you have a rich library and catalog of backstory. If you really want to sit down and nerd out and look, you watch Game of Thrones season 1, episode 1, you see this giant freaking wolf, and no one seems to make any like, wait, what's happening here? It doesn't detract you from the story, but if you go back, you go, oh, that's a direwolf, and this is why a direwolf is part of this. Same thing with Lord of the Rings. You see elves, you see all these different
Yeah.
characters. It doesn't take away from the story. If anything, it adds on to it once you know the reason what you're watching on the screen. But you still have a good story as a general audience that you can kind of connect with. I didn't get that same feeling with this show.
The only thing I can think of in comparison, it would have been like if George Lucas, when doing 4, 5, and 6, which is the story of Luke, decided I'm also going to tell the backstory of Anakin and Ben at the same
Oh
time.
shit! Yeah,
Well,
You know? That would have been, I would have been like, what is going on
let's
here?
hear Chris. Though Chris
I,
hasn't given us
I
his.
know. No, no, no.
Yeah,
I
sorry,
know it's
Chris,
been
go
a
ahead.
while, but do you guys remember much of The Hobbit? The
Yes,
3 Hobbit movies, not the book.
yes, I remember. I remember
Right,
both.
right.
Look ahead.
And do you?
I didn't get to watch the third one,
The third one doesn't
It's
matter,
terrible.
right?
Okay.
So the reason I would throw The Hobbit out there is remember how they tried to weave in the story of what the heck was Gandalf doing while the hobbits were out gallivanting,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
you were like, what does this have to do with anything? Why is he at where is he going? what's this meeting? And it's because they were trying to piece in pieces of the similar. I can never say the damn word.
Similarian.
Right. And link it to Lord of the Rings instead of just telling a story.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think this is very much the Tarantino, hey, we're going to move you around and we'll link it all back together and you'll get it later. And I think they kind of failed at that not early enough. They did it and it all linked together, but it felt like, it took 8 episodes to link this all together.
I think I would have preferred a more linear storytelling style.
And I'm not even sure why they didn't do a more linear story. I guess to have you wouldn't have Siri in there till much later in the story.
Wait, for the record, I
whatever.
do
Okay,
enjoy that type of storytelling. I mean, we're calling it a Tarantino style, but it's in other genres. But that's when you have a linear.
Oh yeah, no.
I shouldn't say linear, like a simpler story where you don't like Memento. Like let's say Memento, for example. You've got maybe 3 or 4 characters, period, and an entire movie. So you could kind of tinker around a timeline because it's not going to be too confusing because you're not following 8 different sub stories across 3 different timelines.
Well, what's that Tom Cruise movie where he's in the future?
Oblivion?
No. The one with the people who can pre-crime. The pre-crime.
Oh, Minority Report. Minority Report.
Minority.
So that's another one where they kind of muck around with the story a bit and push you in and out, but you can still follow it because overall it's a more simple story.
Yeah, you just follow Tom Cruise. You're Tom Cruise as the audience. So to you, you see all these multiple timelines, but you're still following one guy.
Right. Yeah, we're talking about Spielberg movie here. Like the guy knows a little bit.
Right.
He knows a bit more about storytelling apparently than these folks did.
Dude, at one point, I couldn't get the reason why there was a war and whom was fighting whom. And
yeah, I didn't understand it either. All of a sudden, the North, not the North. They wanted. I don't even remember the towns, but the one city was coming to attack the other. And then they were going north to take the North?
All right, so I'm going to give my general impression here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mine's a bit higher than both of yours to start. I'm kind of a B+ on it. But it's less about the story and more about the characters and the overall show. I find it interesting. I'm a sword and sorcery fantasy fan. So the trappings of the show really kind of get me. Also, like the first 3 episodes. So if we look at the first 3 episodes, the first one's about Geralt, and it seems pretty straightforward, right? He goes to a town, mucks around with some wizard, and gets told that he's got this girl. He's supposed to protect his what's the word I'm looking for? It's his
destiny.
Destiny, yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. So it's his destiny.
By the way, sorry, I expected more from Renfrey. That was kind of a letdown with her character.
I was talking about the princess. Yeah.
Oh yeah. The first episode was really cool, but I'm like, oh, they already killed the really cool character. Yeah. I'm like, they killed a really cool character, but it had a great sword fight. It kind of gets you into Geralt's head. Nobody likes him. You can see that, but he's got a destiny. I'm like, all right, this is straightforward fantasy. I'm all in. I see this. And then the second episode, you follow Ciri, the girl. I felt like I'm on top of things. All right, I know. Okay, so this is a princess. This is her grandmother. They're attacking her villa, her castle. This is where Geralt's gotta meet this girl at some point. She escapes.
Yep.
I'm feeling pretty good. Then we meet. Then episode 3, I'm like, okay, who's this? So then we meet Yennefer. So, okay, she's the wizard. Okay, she's gonna get involved in some way.
Oh, right. Oh my gosh.
Yennefer's a great character. I'm like, they went different. She's got a hunchback. She's got all this baggage, but she's got magic, and I thought Yennefer's story was really cool. So first 3 episodes, I felt really good about what was going on. And then something weird happened. Someone watched one of the episodes in my house, and you know how when you just go start an episode, it just starts the next one? So I started episode 5, and all of a sudden, Geralt is sleeping with Yennefer, and I'm like, what did I miss?
Yes.
So I backtracked, and I hit episode 4. So episode 4 is where Geralt gets taken to a banquet as a bodyguard for the what's his name? I'm looking it up right now.
He's with the bard. There.
Yeah, the bard. Jaskier.
That's the episode I realized this was a different timeline.
All right, so this guy is great. I have to say, the bard is one of the best parts of the show.
Yes, I was entertained until they, wrote him out of the story.
Right. Well, we'll get there. So this is where I got completely lost. So I'm watching this episode, and he's like, okay, there's a princess. And I saw the mother, and I thought it was Ciri. And I started getting confused, because Ciri's mother is blonde.
That's what I thought.
Exactly
I thought
like
the same thing.
Yep.
Yep.
And I was like,
right.
Wait, what? Wait, I thought her parents were dead. What's going on? Who's that? Wait, didn't they already get attacked? What?
Exactly.
Is this a flashback?
Exactly.
Did nobody tell me there's flashbacks?
And I'm like, and the grandmother looked exactly the same way she did in the first episode, just to make it more confusing.
Right. There was almost zero ability to tell the difference. And the grandmother and grandfather, quote unquote grandfather, he wasn't. He was
which I didn't get.
Step granddad or whatever. But whatever. So they were married in the first one, and they had Ciri. And then you go to this 4th episode, and it's not Ciri, and she's trying to pick a husband for her daughter. And I'm like, wait a minute, she was a grandmother, now she's the mother. I'm so confused. And so finally, all it needed was I went online, and someone told me these are all different time periods. Oh, you know what else got me?
So you went online first before you figured it out?
Well, I knew something was up because Yennefer in her episode. So remember, she gets into that battle with the guy with the weird murder insect, the giant murder insect.
Oh yeah.
And she says something about living multiple lifetimes, and I'm like, oh fuck.
Which, by the way, there was nothing that came out of that storyline. Like that gave me absolute. Other than the fact that it made you, it kind of broached the topic of her wanting a child or wanting her womb back.
It was definitely.
But it did absolutely nothing to the story.
That's you're talking about when she was portaling and wound up in the desert.
Yes.
All that stuff. Okay.
Against this other mate that we never see again, which doesn't tie into the main story. And I'm like, what's the purpose of this whole side story here? Only for us to realize that this was meant to show us that she regretted her decision and that she always wants a child. And then.
Well, also it also goes, okay, this isn't young Yennefer who is just learning magic. She knows her magic. She's good at it. She can battle. I guess that's the other thing I could say for it. And it was cool looking.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was kind of a weird thing. But so episode 4 clued me in. It started to put the pieces together. I needed a little bit of outside help to go, yeah, dude, you're not crazy.
Yeah.
You didn't miss anything.
It's already a fail. Outside help.
You're in 3 different. You're right. You're in 3 different timelines. So I'm like, okay, that makes a little bit more sense. But I still was confused because then we started seeing Ciri, and she's got this elf kid with her, and then they go into this forest, and I'm like, oh god. And then we go back and forth and back and forth. And Geralt meets Yennefer, and then they go on this monster hunt, and the dragon hunt, right? And Geralt and Yennefer are like buddy, like lost loves, and you're like, what? Oh god. So the individual episodes were cool. The individual action was cool. The individual stories were cool, but the whole kind of keeping everything moving together was just too hard to follow because there was no hey, you're going to the past or you're going to the future, or like give me a visual prompt to show me, because Geralt looks the same throughout the years. Yennefer, after her transformation, looks identical.
Yeah. Ciri's grandmother looked the same.
Right, Ciri's grandmother, Ciri and her mom look almost identical. So it wasn't until you get to the last two episodes, where you're like, oh, wait, Geralt and Ciri are there to get. Oh god, oh shit. You're like, where's Yennefer? It was cool. It was cool looking. It was well acted. It had good graphics. It was a little bit Porky's Revenge at times,
I know what you mean.
but otherwise it was really, really cool. But I like the way they did the mages, how they have limited resource. They're just not indefinite flamethrowers, you know.
Power up.
I mean,
But-
the whole reason why I'd even give it as high as a C is only because of some of the battle sequences, the action, and the acting of the actress Yennefer and Henry Cavill. That's really it. That's enough to give for me not to give it an F, because otherwise
Right.
I would have given it
Right. Well, I think like Henry Cavill, his charisma really drives you through his episodes.
Yes.
I love how he's just hates the world. Everybody gets him wrong, but he's just kind of living it, dealing with it. Everything's frustrating to him. And then Yennefer was the actress was great. Her story was interesting. The Ciri thing, I understand it. My phone keeps going off because I keep saying Siri. It's a classic powerful child fantasy trope. There's nothing
Yeah, the
hard
thing
to
is, if I watch it again, I'd probably enjoy it more now. Like if I just rewatch the thing, because it would make more sense. I think confusion threw me off a lot, and then I agree with you. Like the characters were decent; they were good characters, good CGI, and overall, like if you understand the story, it's not bad, right?
And that's the thing. The story is just bringing it down. It's not that it's a bad story. It's that they just made it too confusing to follow easily. Like you felt like you're staring at it for the, episode 4, 5, and 6. I'm just like, holy crap! I don't know what I'm doing when I am where I am. It's cool looking, but what the hell's going on? Why does Yennefer have an entire town doing orgies?
Why do we have this whole episode dedicated to this dragon thing? I mean, like, I go back, and other than give me the nifty little battle at the end and the bar and trading some one lines here and there, it did absolutely nothing to the overall show.
Well, the only story point in it, besides it being one of those episodes where you say, "Oh, these two are really tight and they kind of want each other, but they won't be able to do anything." It does two things in that it basically throws Jasker out. So during the last two big, huge battle things, you're not wondering where Jasker is, because Geralt basically tells them to get lost at the end. And it tells you definitely that, or it tells Yennefer definitely she can't magically have a kid. So there's no, because that's what the whole thing is. She's on that hunt because she thinks there's a magic potion to be made.
She can have a kid again,
to
all right,
reverse it. And it says, so when she goes into this final battle, she now isn't, well, I kind of want to live to have a kid. Everything's awful. So her attitude in the second to last episode, when they're preparing for battle, is she's kind of coming to grips with mortality, and she's like, I don't really care anymore. I don't have anything to live for. I've lived several lifetimes. I can't have a kid now. She's done. So her kind of what seems to be a giant sacrifice at the end of the series, assuming that she wastes all of her chaos energy in destroying the army, it's like a sacrifice that she's willing to make because she got the answer that she was looking for.
Yeah, But here's the thing: what exactly are they fighting against? What is she sacrificing for?
So
What's the main mission of the bad guys?
all right, so if we go back to episode 2, which is the Siri introduction, her grandmother and step granddad are talking about they are an alliance. So he married her to create an alliance so no one would attack either of them, right? And then the mother married that porcupine guy,
Yeah.
but he didn't really have a strong kingdom to align with.
Yeah, she married him more out of love as opposed to
Right.
political reasons. Got it.
Okay. So what you have now is they're not as strong as they kind of wanted to be, but they're a pretty strong group. But you still have these guys from the north, and obviously they use dark magic. Now, what confused me was there seemed to be some of Yennefer's ex roommates,
Yes.
the witch mates, who joined
Yes.
this. Not only these armies, but they also were kind of like a religious cult. They kept
Yes.
talking about the white flame,
Yes.
and so
which
this
is what I'm getting at. I'm getting.
Kinda-
Go ahead.
right.
That
Yes.
reminded me of that witch in Game of Thrones with the red whatever.
The Red Woman.
You know what I'm talking about? The red woman,
With
yeah,
a
and
red
her
god. Yes,
and
the red
whatever.
god. Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this
Which
so
nothing
it
came
seems-
about with that
No,
either in Game of Thrones,
and
did
that's
it?
why that season was trash. Everybody,
So
okay, continue, Chris.
so in episode 2, they get the grandmother leads the army out, but they're overwhelmed, right? And they get in the attack. So what that is it's this white flame religious group, army of the South, or I don't even know where they're from. Because
So I thought it was the
fantasy,
North.
the
Okay.
hard thing about fantasy is the name of places are just impossible to remember, right? But anyway, so they get attacked, they get overwhelmed, they're looking for Ciri.
Yes.
Everybody seems to know that she has some magical powers.
Not that she has some magical powers. She apparently is connected to this whole cult's prophecy of the white flame, whatever their their end game is.
Mhm.
She's apparently a part
That's
of that.
racist.
She's part.
Right, and multiple times she kind of explodes in magic power and kills
Yeah.
a bunch of people.
Right.
So the end is the battle that you saw in episode 2. So in episode 2 was the grandmother getting killed. So episode 7 is that attack where you find out that Geralt this whole time is in jail in that same place because he keeps trying to come back to get Ciri because it's his destiny. Finally accepts it's his destiny. And then they can't find him. He escapes jail, blah, 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 blah. Ciri gets away. So everything Ciri does after she escapes is happening during the battle in the last episode.
Correct. Which, to my mind, it looked like it was a couple days that she was gone. She went to like the Amazonian women forest. She
Right,
was
right.
with that black elf for a little bit, and she went to that last
Mhm.
the last little village at the end before she left the following morning. So that's
Right,
a couple
but
days, by the way.
But you got to remember the attack in episode 7 begets the mage guilds or whatever they're called. They all get together, they have a conversation, then they all sail north. So it's several days of
Right.
that before they get to that keep with the giant bridge, and they're like, "We got to protect this, or otherwise the army will go
Right,
north."
last stand.
Hold the
So that's-
line.
Yeah. So now I don't know why they don't just set up those blue bottles and blow up that giant bridge and sit
Yeah,
on
No,
the
right.
other
we'll get to
side.
we'll get to how stupid they were by losing because they did not use their full magic potential. But that's good.
Right.
I just want to make sure I understand what this whole battle was about. What the forces of good
I
and
think
evil,
it's just
whatever it is.
over Ciri. I think they're a religious cult army trying to capture the White Flame, and all the area by destroying the powerful cities on the way to do this. That's all I got. I could be way off, but so yeah, I don't know what season 2. I would assume because at the very last image is Geralt finding Ciri and Yennefer exploding and killing the bulk of the army. but not everybody. I don't think everybody's dead.
Mm.
So, but you're right. The army of the White Flame or whatever was very iffy. I'm sure they explained it because there was multiple times you followed that leader. But do you guys remember the episode with the shapeshifter?
Yes. Yeah.
And he attacks the head of the White Flame army.
Yeah, he's like, you didn't tell me who she was, or something like that, when he was talking about Siri.
I still have no idea what happened in that scene.
Yeah,
I don't
he
either.
he was apparently mad at the leader of the whole white religious cult and the I guess the guy was also leader of the military faction too. He was like, "Why didn't you tell me who she was or what she is, or whatever it was?" And then you started fighting.
Right, because he tried to capture Siri.
He actually did capture her until until he left her in the woods, and then the dark elf came and cut her loose.
But why did he leave her in the woods?
He left her. Like, he left her to go have that tete-a-tete with the other dude, and then get into a battle with him. And
so yeah.
That so here's the thing. Going back just to come full circle in this whole battle of whose side is whose. If you remember it earlier, I think maybe episode 2 or 3, you got to see the Gilded crew and how they were having their conversations about how the kingdoms, they're all really stupid. They're the ones that kind of really run the
Mage
politics.
Guild, yeah.
And they didn't sound like they were like all too altruistic.
No, they didn't.
It was just like, they can control certain kings who are not as smart and others are tougher. So again, when I'm hearing this other faction that's battling them also have mages, I'm like, what makes these guys the good guys and these guys the bad guys? Like, you haven't shown me in this 8-episode show why is this other side really that bad, other than the fact they took over one kingdom, killed everyone, no mercy, and now are searching for this particular princess, and they're moving south. Whereas you guys were bad from jump. You guys were, aristocrat wizards that are controlling the empire, and now you don't quite want to lose your control over the empire, and you're forming your last stand here at this location. Like it wasn't clear cut to me the purpose of this battle, whose side me as the audience I'm supposed to kind of, other than the fact that I know if Yennefer is supposed to be like redeemed, she's a good person now, and she's with this group, then yeah, maybe I'm rooting for this group because she's
that's
part
all
of it.
you get, yeah.
But other than that, I can care less about any of these people I was watching on screen battling these other much cooler looking wizards who were doing some real serious cool
well,
tricks.
you saw the one lady wizard. She basically forced some wizards to give their entire life force to make those giant fireballs.
Yes, but we also saw earlier their head mistress sacrificed 3 non-strong characters, turn them to eels to sacrifice.
Oh
their
yeah.
force. I mean, and
yeah, that's right.
This is all great to me. There's no clear-cut good or evil so far.
Oh no, I don't think there is. I think everybody you meet, especially any magic user, is an asshole the whole time. Like Yennefer literally leaves the woman behind to save herself while she's being chased, right?
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's what they want the show to be. They want the show to be mature enough where they don't draw you clear-cut good and evil.
Right.
You kind of have to kind of watch for yourself and make your own conclusion. I get that.
Right, because Geralt is constantly saying he doesn't take sides.
Yes.
But constantly has to take sides.
Well, we know why he doesn't, because that's how he's built as the Witcher. I mean, you've explained to me.
I have no idea how Witchers are made. I have
this
no
is
idea
where
what
I read.
makes
Yeah.
a Witcher.
This is me doing the research.
Yeah.
This is me doing. I mean, they kind of mentioned it a little bit. They mentioned
right?
a little bit when he was having his dreams about his mom, which is another more confusing part.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So obviously I took the cheat code and went online. There's a whole wiki site for that stuff, and it gave me more information. But that's just him. Everyone else is supposed to somehow, have personality and traits where they're one leaning good and one leaning evil, and I'm not getting that. And I don't know whether that's on purpose or that's just.
Well, they don't really show us any other Witchers. He finds dead Witchers where he goes. That's it.
Correct. So, I mean, it's just more hot sauce on this thing. I don't even know what else.
So I would say my B, I think it's a decent grade, but it's like story-wise, you're like C minus because you're like, oh, it's hard to follow. You're right. Everything's kind of gray. It's just everything else that gives you. So if you enjoy this kind of show, if you enjoy this kind of story, or if you're willing to do a cheat code and kind of look up some Witcher history,
Yeah.
I think you'll really get a lot out of it.
I didn't, and it wasn't worth it for me. Like, I didn't care that much. Like, I just show me the gore, show me the blood, show me some boobs. I'm all right.
Mike is a simple man. Just give it to him.
There you go.
So yeah, I'll be watching season 2, even if you guys don't.
No, I'm gonna watch it too, man. It's on Netflix, right? I already paid for Netflix. It's not like, if they decided, here, we're gonna throw this on our Witcher streaming service for $4.99 a month, and I'll be like, no, thank you.
That's the DC model.
I think if I was reviewing it, there's usually 4 categories that I like to review. The big one is obviously story, but then you have like production, the acting, and the effects.
Yep. Right.
I think the other 3 to me are good enough for me to watch a season 2 because there was some great production, some great scenes, great cinematography, and then at least 2 of the actors in this show were solid actors. The actress who plays Yennefer. I like what she did with herself, both when she was like the hunchback, and then when she was like, hot Queen Sheba wizard. But still flawed. You could tell her, she was still, flawed a bit. And I like the acting in there, and obviously, the effects were great. But, the meat of the sandwich, the story, was like, ugh. I mean, the fixings are great, the sides are great, but man, that protein is just, ugh.
Yeah, that's what so for me, there's 3 categories for me to watch a show. It's the production, it's the characters, and the story. So I also think 2 out of 3 for this one for me. So definitely watching season 2 on it.
And I think season 2, hopefully, maybe you won't have this kind of funky storytelling model. You're kind of fall into something you've seen before. So I think the other parts, the characters, which is kind of the tops for me, and all the other parts that you guys mentioned, production and everything, I think, season 2 is a no-brainer for me.
So I don't even remember where we left off. Was there a cliffhanger at the end?
It was Yennefer dead, or Yennefer exploding.
Right, okay.
And Geralt had been hurt. And frustrating, that whole episode where he's just in the cart being dragged around because he got cut by some zombie.
That's right.
That zombie that clearly he was telling the other guy, get away, 1 bite will make you. I'm thinking, he must be immune. That's why he's telling the other guy, get away.
Right.
No, he's not immune. He just doesn't die immediately.
Right.
Right. I wish they had explained his little black potions. I assume I can infer what they are, but
power up.
Right, it's a power up. But it seems to basically heal him eventually.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have one of those in my pockets at all times.
Exactly.
Why was it on his horse? But anyway, so you get the Ciri and Geralt final meeting there at the last minute.
It's almost like he had the Call of Duty health meter where if you get shot, you duck behind the thing for a few seconds and your health comes back.
Comes back up.
Where you have to eat a sandwich and all of a sudden your health comes back.
Yeah.
So no, that's where it is. He seems to be back at full strength.
Mm-hmm.
And so the only question is, did Yennefer succeed in stopping the army?
Is she alive? Yeah.
And is she alive?
I mean, it's such a good character. I hope that wasn't it. I think it's more story to tell about her.
Well, I don't think so, because they're not going to stop coming for... Yeah, and they're not going to stop coming for Ciri, so there's got to be something there. All right, sweet. So